Welcome back to geometry class. We'll continue with uh, lines cut by transversal, and we'll get into more details. In this lesson, we'll have a few objectives. First, we determine the angle pair relationship when given two parallel lines cut via transversal, and then calculate the missing angle measurements when given two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Now, we have a few theorems, related to these angles. First theorem is related to corresponding angles. Remember, corresponding angles are angles that are in the same location. We talked about corresponding angles last time. So, what does this theorem state? If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, so if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. Congruent means same measure or equal. So, as we can see, angles 1 and 5, look here, 1 and 5, are corresponding. So, angles 1 and 5 are congruent. So, remember, this is the symbol for congruent. Their measure is the same. Other corresponding angles are angles 4 and 8. 4 and 8 are also corresponding. So, according to this theorem, they are congruent. So, angles 4 and 8 are congruent. Also, angles 2 and 6 are congruent because they are corresponding. So, angles 2 and 6 are congruent. Angle 2 congruent, angle 6. And other pair of corresponding angles are 3 and 7. So, angle 3 congruent, angle 7. So, as a conclusion, always corresponding angles formed by a transversal that cut two parallel lines are always congruent. Good. Next. Another important theorem refers to alternate angles. As we know, alternate angles are angles that are located on opposite sides of the transversal, like here. One is on the right side of the transversal, and two is on the left side. So they are on opposite sides, and also they could be either exterior or interior, depending on their location to the other two lines. For example, here the angles are exterior, they are alternate and exterior. Here they are interior. Why? Because they are between parallel lines. So we have for each type of alternate angles a theorem. So the alternate interior angles theorem states if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of alternate interior angles are congruent. So we can say angle 1 congruent angle 2. Also, the alternate exterior angles theorem states that when two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the resulting alternate exterior angles are congruent. Yeah? So, angles 1, angle 1, congruent angle 2. Yeah? Good. Next. The same side angles theorem. Because we have two types of same side, interior and exterior, we're going to have two theorems. First, the same side interior angles theorem states that when two lines that are parallel are intersected by a transversal line, the same side interior angles that are formed are supplementary. Not congruent, but supplementary. Yeah? And also, if a transversal cut two parallel lines, yeah, the same side exterior angles are also supplementary. Yeah? For example, angles 3 and 6 are same side interior, which means they are supplementary. Supplementary means add up 180. So angle 3 plus angle 6 equals 180 degrees. Also, angles 4 and 5 are same side interior, right? Same side of the transversal and inside between the parallel lines. That's why they are called interior. Yeah? So, angle 4 plus angle 5 equals 180 degrees. What about exterior? We have another slide with same side exterior. Yeah? As we can see, these two angles are same side but exterior, right? So if we, let's say, name 1 and 2, we can say angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180 degrees. Yeah? Don't forget, corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interior and exterior angles are congruent, but same side exterior and same side and interior are supplementary. Good. Let's talk about now vertical angles. Remember, vertical angles are angles that have a common vertex and their sides are opposite. Yeah? And as we know, vertical angles are always congruent. Yeah? For example, angles 1 and 4, yeah? 1 and 4 are vertical or opposite, so they are congruent. Yeah? Angles 2 and 3, 2 and 3 also are vertical. That's why they are congruent. Yeah? What other angles could be congruent? For example, 5 and 8 are vertical, they are congruent. Or 6 and 7 are vertical, they are congruent, always. Yeah? And the last type, probably, is a linear pair. And we know linear pairs are supplementary all the time. Yeah? For example, 1 and 2, yeah, form a line. So they are adjacent and supplementary, form a straight angle. Also, 2 and 4, look, 2 and 4, they form another line. They are also adjacent and linear pair. 4 and 3, 4 and 3, yeah? 6 and 8 are adjacent and linear pair. 8 and 7 also. 7 and 5. 5 and 6. Yeah? Good. This being said, let's have one example, a short example, with the previous theorems. On the number 1, let's make it larger. Yeah? In example 1, given measure of angle 1 equals 65 degrees. Yeah? 65 degrees. Find the measure of each missing angle. Give your reasoning. Now, first, we have to identify the transversal. Yeah? Remember, as we know, a transversal cut 2 or more lines in two points. Yeah? In this case, this line, let's name as line L. This is line M. This is line N. Line L cut lines N and M in two different points. So L is the transversal. Good. Now, we have this angle given. Now, what other angles could be found? Yeah, easy. Look, 1 and 3 are, remember what kind of angles? Are vertical angles or opposite. Remember, we know vertical angles are always congruent, which means they have the same measure, right? So we can write here, measure of angle 3 equals 65 degrees. Yeah? Why? Because angles 1 and 3 are vertical. So we say angles 1 and 3 are vertical. Good. Now, next we look at angles 1 and 2. 1 and 2, they are adjacent. Why? Because they share a common vertex and a common side. And they both form a line, which means they are supplementary. So they add up 180. Yeah? So how we find the missing angle? By subtracting 65 from the total, which is 180. So we can say, if we do the math, we subtract 65 from 180, your find is 115. Yeah? So we can say, let's say 180 degrees minus 65 degrees equals 115 degrees. Yeah? Why? Because angles 1 and 2 are linear pair. Good. Next, measure of angle 4. Now, we have measure of angle 2. Yeah? We know measure of angle 2 is 115. Now, measure of angles 2 and 4, we know they are vertical. Yeah? They share a common vertex, yeah? But their sides are opposite. So angles 2 and 4 are vertical. They are congruent. So the measure of angle 4 would be 115. Yeah? Why? Because angles 2 and 4 are vertical. Good. Let's move forward to other angles. Now, we know angle 1 is 65. Yeah? Now, angle 1 and angle 5, yeah, for example, are both in the same location. Why? Because both are on the left side of the transversal and above the parallel lines. So they are corresponding angles. We know corresponding angles are congruent, which means measure of angle 5 would be 65. Yeah? Because angles 1 and 5 are corresponding. Good. Next, measure of angle. Which one is easier to find? Measure of angle 7. Yeah? Why? Because angles 5 and 7 are vertical. They share a common vertex and their sides are opposite. So, we know vertical angles are congruent, same size, measure, yeah? Same size. So, measure of angle 7 is 65 degrees. Because angles 5 and 7 are vertical. Good. Now, what's next? What angles left? 6 and 8. So, look at angles 5 and 6. 5 and 6, yeah, they both form a line, yeah? They form a line, which is 180, yeah? They are adjacent and linear pair, right? So, we know this one is 65. To find the question mark, we simply subtract 65 from 180, the total. Yeah? And we can say angle 6 equals 115 degrees. What other option we may have here? We can look at angles 6, right, and angle 4, yeah? To find the measure. So, angle 4 and angle 6 are alternate interior, right? So, they have the same measure, but measure of angle 4 equals 115. That's why measure of angle 6 is 115. So, we can choose what you prefer. Let's say angles 4 and angle 6 are alternate interior. Or if you prefer, you can say because angles 5 and 6 are linear pair. And the last one, angle 8. Angle 8, yeah, and angle 6, right, are vertical angles, yeah? That's why they are congruent. Or, as we can see, angles 4 and 8 are corresponding because they are in the same location, yeah? So, that's why they have the same measure. So, the measure of angle 8 would be 115 degrees. We can say because angles 8 and angle 6 are vertical, or angles 8 and angle 4 are corresponding. So, it's enough for today. Thank you for watching my video. See you next time. Take care of yourself.